Everybody, I am back. Kind of late because I nearly forgot. It's been a busy day. I nearly forgot to do this review. But it's the start of February month, doing reviews for black led films as well as some romantic films. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Chris Rock film, his first directorial debut, Head of State. It came out, 2003. And lo and behold, like, wouldn't you know, 5 years later, we will have our actual first black president. That is just like kind of like a funny coincidence. Not like he foretold the future or anything like that, but it's just kind of funny how life works like that. So yeah, Chris Rock written, directed, produced it, along with other people like Eli Leroy, as well as Michael Rotenberg. He plays Mays Gilliam, an alderman from DC. Bernie Mac plays Mitch Gilliam, his elder brother. We got Dylan Baker as Martin Geller. Nick Searcy as Brian Lewis, the Republican vice president. Lynn Whitfield as Deborah Lassiter. Robin Givens as Kim, the ex-girlfriend. Tamala Jones, oh my God, she was always a hottie, as Lisa Clark, the love interest, pretty much. We got James Rebhorn as Senator Bill Arnott. And we got Keith David as Bernard Cooper. So, we meet, this is a great introduction to a lead character that's non-superhero related, but great introduction to a character that we immediately invested in and is immediately endeared to. That's how you say that sentence. So, Mays is the alderman of DC. Clearly, like, the man of the people. He's, obviously the boots on the ground type of guy. And he's so focused on helping the community that kind of ignores like his own personal life, pretty much, to the point where his ex, we'll get into that lady. It's kind of funny, but we get to that lady in a minute. But he's called upon by the local neighborhood, pretty much like look up to him, I guess, and say like, oh, they Miss Pearl. There's crazy old lady who refused to get out of the way as they trying to demolish her rundown apartment. And she's, trying to wait for her, like, trying to get her cat. And the writing is pretty good in this. And of course, it's Chris Rock. He's one of the best comedians of all time. And he is just giving the business to the cop and whatever, government official who is trying to get this, building pretty much demolished. They already set like explosives and everything like that. All right, first and foremost, because they said that she just showed up. Like, most of that doesn't really make sense to me, because she's obviously not the only person who lived in that apartment. And the fact that, okay, you sent money for the people to live out, even though Mays points out that's, it wouldn't have been enough to find like a new place to live in. Because given in DC, like even back then, 2003, I'm pretty sure the rent is like, it was kind of insane then. It's probably even gotten worse over time. But the fact that, okay, how is she is like the last one just to show up? It's like, okay, there's probably a little bit, let's say these people would have been paid out, let's say give it like a year, and that all these notices was given to these tenants, money was compensated for them and helped them move and find another place, given time so they can find a new place and start moving. That is a large gap in time. I can just think off the top of my head where this lady should not be just popping up like out of the freaking blue. I think it's kind of like a forced way to set up this hero moment for, I mean, I'm kind of nitpicking, but it's kind of forcing this hero moment for Maze. I think could have been played a little bit better than this, but she's standing out in front trying to, jingle the kitty food or whatever, and trying to entice her cat. She sees the cat in the mirror and she goes running in, ignoring the caution tape altogether. I know, like, sometimes old people just barge in. It's like, I don't need to, whatever, damn everything else, So, Maze rushes in while everybody else is trying to scramble to abort the explosion, but somehow it got stuck. So, they literally got 3 minutes or so. So Maze is trying to get this old lady out. It's like, and she's like, he's telling her, like, they're gonna blow up this building. We gotta get out of here now. And it's like, oh, they won't do that, baby. They know we're in here. It's like, I love Maze's reaction. Like, Miss Pearl, I love you, but you've seen a lot here. You've been around a long time. You've seen a lot. You see, like, presidents get assassinated. You see, like, they killed Martin Luther King. They, they sick dogs to people. They, set off fire hoses on people. Like, do you really think they give a damn about you? And then, like, and so you see this, like, hilarious, clearly green screen little action shot where he's running out with Miss Pearl and her cat, and this lady's just like, it's clearly like, it's whatever. It's not an action movie, so they don't need to do crazy dramatic kind of fall forward, from the impact force. So after all that, you see Maze, and it's kind of good setup here because you kind of blink and you miss it kind of situation, but you just kind of pay attention. Well, I say blink and you miss it, but you just pay attention as Maze is driving to the gas station. He's like, listening to Jay-Z, and they cut the radio to kind of like it's like a it's like the breaking news in the middle of a radio station. Not a radio, but I don't know. It's just like you got to break in the middle of the song. Just like, oh, the president and vice president, like, both died from their planes crashing into each other. So now return to your Jay-Z song, Now in Progress. And he's just like completely ignoring it. He just bump into the song. It was funny. So he goes to the gas station and he sees Lisa Clark. Clearly she's smitten, but she's trying to play it all off. So he pays for his gas, and he comes home to a crazy, belligerent, naggy woman named Kim. And she is like, clearly, it's like a perfect example of kind of how modern women are today for the most part. Not this to the extreme, but it's kind of played up for last, where she is like clearly not holding it down and seeing like this guy's mission in life and being supportive. She, refused to answer his calls, complains about it, doing it at first. Don't see him making it or anything like that. not paying off any of the bills that clearly he has been neglecting, uh, and then laughing at him when his car got towed. Perfect example of like uh, one of those kind of women that you should not be associating with. Good for a short time, not a long time kind of thing, because you would want a person who's supposed to be like your helpmate, assisting with your mission. This dude clearly, has goals, and he is for the people. He's, like one of those kind of like, we in the middle school, you had all those like pictures, all those black heroes who done incredible things in terms of like politics or sports or music, art, and what have you. Mace could easily be one of those faces, because he just like, he's there for people, make sure whatever grievances they has with the city or whatever is handled. He even promised an old guy that if they shut down the bus line or something like that, he'll drive the guy to work himself. And he making promises he wants to stick to and everything like that. Like I said, man of the people. So she is just like completely belligerent. And then of course there's a moment where he kind of snaps, where he looks like he's about to throw a punch, and he just stops short, and she's like, I wish you would. And the way she carrying on, it's like, you shouldn't, but I don't know, call your female relatives or something like that and jump this chick. Uh so he goes to court to try to deal with the after the whole I would say debacle with the whole saving Miss Pearl out of the building. His lawyer, played by Keith David, give him the riot act, because if you want to get in, you got to fit in. You're making this, the mayor is complaining, you're making the city look bad. And I was like, I wouldn't say they're hamming it up with the, ungratefulness of the public or certain people of the public. It's kind of like what's his name from George? It's like George Bailey from It's a Wonderful Life, where it's like someone's crap, laid down on him, but he knows he has a good heart, so he doesn't, do it for himself. He gives of himself a lot to people who probably didn't deserve it, or I don't want to say didn't deserve it, but it's like, for just to get treated ungratefully. So he is pretty much like, after walking out of the courtroom, getting lectured by his lawyer about wearing a suit, which I kind of agree with him on. It's like, you go into a court, you should have like a decent suit on to, you gotta, represent yourself properly. And mind you, this is way back in the early 2000s, before we know what we knew about Diddy, where I'm just gonna call him Keith David. Keith David making a joke about like, even Puff Daddy wears a suit to court, and it's like, pretty sure you're wearing a lot of suits to court, as of late. So as they walking out, this dude got Maze's car off of an auction, or he won in some kind of prize, and Maze don't say nothing. He just like, just eats it. As he's walking in the rain, he comes across a diner where he sees, his ex having like a meal with some dude, and just flaunting it in his face. Until then, a limo shows up to pick up Maze. Now, going back a little bit, with the whole situation with sorry, that's something in my eye. With the situation with those the president and the vice president and the planes crashing and everything like that they mentioned in the radio in the film. Now some government officials is trying to scramble to find a proper candidate, one that's likable, but obviously not going to win. They just need pretty much set up in the long run, move chess pieces in a particular order to set up for the long run in 2008 for the next presidential election. Pretty much has in a scheme, but they need somebody that isn't like a guarantee. So they see on the news about Mays and him rescuing Miss Pearl. So we see Arnott, Lassiter, and Geller, hatching a scheme pretty much like, okay, this is a perfect candidate. It looks good for the people. Not only he's a hero, but he's a black man. We can get like the minorities to really rally behind him and put on a good dog and pony show, but don't expect him to actually win because they don't think he's like presidential in a way, or at least don't know the game like that. So despite Lassiter's protests, she and Geller's, arranged to pick him up. And that's where they break it to him about him running for president of the United States. Now, he, of course, scoffs at the idea because, which he smartly brings up because any rational person watching this film would bring it up. There's no, governor or senator that you could have called up. Why me? I'm just the alderman. Well, it's, as Lassiter puts it, like, senators and governors are a dime a dozen. You're the man of the people. You're pretty much like the golden goose, really boosting his head up. And then, of course, Arnott shows up and, further, really, boosting him up a bit. And I love this funny line where they looking at an image of the Lincoln statue, and Arnott points out what that represents to him, and then Mays brings up, all I could think about is the guy who had to scrub Lincoln's balls, for minimum wage. And Arnott's it's like, how can nobody not crack a smile at certain just random funny bits he just spews out? He's like, that's why we want you, Mays. You think about the little guy. So he gets on board, and now it's a media blitz. It's like, is America ready? Like blah blah, all the same stuff they probably said when Obama first ran for office. Getting into like from getting into 2007 into 2008. So the hype was very real. So once he announces his running for the president of the United States on the news, you see him like looking at it, and she just like starts screaming to the heavens, like almost like the Darth Vader no. And it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you F around. It's like you don't support your dude. It's like, come on. And then it's hilarious running gags with this woman popping up randomly. I don't know how much money she wasted, just showing up at certain spots where she shouldn't be showing up. And it's like, trying to set up like a, like wedding plans. Oh, I'm his girlfriend. And it's like, we should like have like I'm having a tough time figuring out, do we need like a DJ band? DJ band. And it's like, he just like, security! And just some dude randomly grabs her and just drags her off screen. You hear like a car driving. Is just, that part still gets me. That was so freaking funny. Oh my God. But it's just like goes to show that, she didn't handle it very well. Even though she haven't like she might have certain, to be charitable, she might have like certain grievances about how he was doing things while he was as an alderman, but she didn't have the courtesy or we don't know how much patience she had, but clearly she has zero patience. But she didn't give this dude the common courtesy of a discussion. It's like, look, I see what you're trying to do, but we got all this, we got to deal with, and I'm handling it on my own. And, just have some kind of dialogue so that way he can try to like lighten her load a bit or give her some assistance. Because to be fair, he probably has been neglectful of her. Now, it's one thing he's neglectful for his own stuff, but the fact that because he's so focused on helping everybody else, he kind of just has not been paying attention to what she probably was going through. He wasn't necessarily in the wrong. He just wasn't like, he was kind of like oblivious to what was happened in his immediate personal affairs. But she handled it all wrong. But it does show her character quite a bit. But, you get it with a guy, he has like a particular goal or mission in mind. It's like, it's your duty, if you are a loving girlfriend and you love and respect this man and he has a good character, you do what you can to, assist him with it. Like answer his phone calls or making sure like, his mail is sorted and, things are at home are together while he's handling business on the street. Not like on the street like a thug or anything like that, but you know what I mean? Like he's an alderman. He's, in like the political realm. So his focus is going to be darn near all over the place trying to help strangers. And it's kind of like, how, I look at like Lois and Superman. Lois understands the fact that as much as she wants Clark to herself, she realized that would have been selfish, knowing that he has like an important duty for the world. Now, of course, Maze kind of like, shrinks down to like American side, but both of which, Lois understands that, she can't be selfish. What he's doing is very much important, more so than at least her own personal needs. But at the same time, Clark understands that this is my wife. Now, push comes to shove, if she needs me, I am there. I'm not going to neglect her because, he found a balance, and Maze, he didn't really find a balance. Then again, as you watch the film, I don't think he probably really, really loved that woman, but whatever. It's her loss anyway. So Maze is introduced to his staff, even this hilarious double that walks in front of him before he goes anywhere, so that way if something happens, it happens to him first. It's very funny. Even meets this what was a liaison or something. Internal liaison, Nikki White. Nikki White. Played by Stephanie March. And Maze asks Gellert, what does she do? It just very matter of factly and just says like, "Oh, she sleeps with you." So yeah, we just got tired of all the sex scandals and everything like that. So the government has set up this crack team of uh, 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 special horrors called like a super horrors, where it cuts to a bunch of women in these tight, skimpy army fatigues and crawling through the mud like you think you're whores? Climb the wall, move that fat ass. It's like these girls are good. That gets a laugh at me every freaking time, man. Can you imagine the government? Why wouldn't they have it? I'm just saying, like, why wouldn't the government have something like that for certain political officials so that way they don't have to deal with sex scandals? Look, if you want to get your rocks off every once in a while, here we got women for that. We actually got trained women for that, not like actual like prostitutes, like you see like hooking on the street kind of thing, but government funded and then trained in the political spectrum whores, whereas like you understand discretion and fulfilling like the person's needs and and all that stuff. So that way, like, because I mean, like, I think a lot of dudes, not even just with the government, but like if you're in business or whatever, it's like you get your government issued whores. So like there's no tell-all bull crap, just like I know what my role is. Like I'm paid very well. I'm going to service this person. I'm on standby. It's just like that is useful. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna say it. That is a useful thing for a lot of influential men or like high tier, high society type of men. We just have that kind of thing on hand, so they don't have to worry about scandals. It's like I just select a personal government issue whore. Anyway, so there's a lot of like lily white type of crowds, look like a standard campaign office. So Mays has been going through the rhetoric with these cookie cutter line of dialogues that Lasseter is feeding him. And for the most part, it's been working. Very standard stuff like you probably would see in a typical election. Until eventually he got to Chicago for a rally. That's where he meets up with his brother, who's obviously proud of him and everything like that. So he has like a private one-on-one talk with him and ask him, when are you going to really talk? Because you're not running this campaign like you. And he shows off these like posters. It's like it just says Mays on it. And it's like, who are they talking about? Willie? It's like you're talking, but you're not talking. You gotta speak from the heart, because if you keep running the same BS like you've been doing, the other political candidate will run you over. So when Mays got on stage, he cuts off the prompter and just starts speaking from the heart. And honestly, you look it up, this speech is an amazing speech. And it's just pretty much like something that you see from a Chris Rock show, but it's kind of played, strictly political. It's like pretty much truncated down to, it's like, how many of you have worked X amount of jobs, just have enough money to be broke? That ain't right. A babysitter the mom has to leave her kid to a nanny. A nanny has to leave her kid to the babysitter. The babysitter had to leave her kid to the daycare. Yeah, that ain't right. It's all this stuff. It still rings true today because the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know what I mean? So the crowd loved it, and it's kind of like his slogan. That ain't right. It's kind of like yes, we can. So, Geller loved how this really raked in some positive dividends. It's like, oh, we should run with this. We should cater the species directly to you. But Lasseter, she was just like, I was like, no, this is crazy, because she really wants to because her and Arnott kind of plotting, because he wants to run for president in 2008 and have her close to him, because I'll take care of you kind of thing. And I gotta say, Lynn Whitfield, something about that woman's look is so evil. I don't know. She's not trying to be, but she got that kind of look. Like, she gives you that death stare. It's kind of like how I feel about Aubrey Plaza. There's something about their looks that seem like, I don't know if you got a soul behind all that. It's like, if you watch that. Matter of fact, I probably should do a review about this thin line between love and hate, because she was the main antagonist opposite to Martin Lawrence. And ever since that movie, because I watched that as a little kid, she creeped me the hell out. I'm pretty sure she's really a lovely woman, but it's just like, something about your look, lady. It's like, you're not all there. You stabbed a person or two in your day and got away with it smugly. Anyway, so of course Lasseter is not too thrilled about this, because she, we see a montage of Mays going through these cities, like the Players Ball. He even changed up his bus to actually show his face. Very a lot of hip hop and stuff going on. It even got Nate Dogg doing a lot of the theme songs in this film. But he going the Players Ball. He's going to the an LGBT club, trying to speak to the people. So it was a cool campaign, and it's working for him. But she ain't liking it. But Arnott's like, no, it's it's good. It's you think he's gonna crash and burn, just let him go run wild, not seeing what he's actually generating to the with the masses. And of course, that's when Brian Lewis, the opposing candidate, sees all this, because there's a running joke with him. It's like I'm a war hero and I'm Sharon Stone's cousin. That always stuck with me. Every time I think about, there's so many funny quotes in this film, and every time I think of Sharon Stone, I think of this freaking film. It's I wonder if Sharon Stone actually has a political cousin. Let me look this up really quick, because matter of fact, they always pique my curiosity. I never thought I bothered to look it up and actually see. Okay, does Sharon Stone Um, doesn't seem like I. Uh, I'll just type it in like, does Sharon Stone has? I'll try my phone. Just try to get this chat GPT thing going. Sorry, I just gotta know. Uh, Nothing's coming up, so maybe it was just like a joke for the film. But I don't know. It would have been funny if that was like an actual true thing that was kind of played up for the film. But anyway, uh, so Lewis starts running a hit piece or if in ads, trying to paint Mays as this bad guy who doesn't support cancer relief for people, whatever. And of course, good on the movie showing how much some people can be sheep sometimes. Look at how easily people turn as soon as like they buy into ads, like because you see that in real life a lot of times, like you know, very black and white, looking like something, like a commercial, like you're watching some kind of a political thriller, like like 24 or something like that. Does May support cancer? Like you don't want to support a candidate who's for cancer, do you? Don't. It's like that's straight up how you see campaign ads from time to time. So how quickly they some people turn on him so quickly. But at first, Mays doesn't want to sink or steep that low until until Lewis really kind of leans in too far. So that's when he starts throwing jabs right back at him. Uh, uh, but as things oh, I forgot about the first campaign party. Like at least this gala, he's trying to gain favor from a bunch of these big wigs with large pockets, and that's where he sees Lisa Clark, picking up some extra work as like a hostess, and because I kind of jumped ahead a bit. I want to get back to this because this is like an awesome scene in of itself where I can't imagine if this is how Obama was during one of these kind of functions for the first time when he was running, where he's like, I doubt it, but he just like Mays just has the DJ just turn on some Nelly Hot in here, and just have him and Lisa just dancing. All these bunch of people, mostly white, they started dancing, doing the not line dancing, doing the electric slide and everything like that. And he's on, May's on a DJ, and of course had a classic scene. It's like the roof is on fire, and then all these white people just like lost their freaking mind and started running out, trampling each other. And it's like they had like a ball. And like one was like, it was one old lady talking about it's off the hizzle for sizzle. God, it's so freaking funny. But you can see like how like people really gravitate towards this guy because he's a personal person. It's a weird way to say it. He's personable, and a very likable guy. So going back to it, Maze. Of course, Lasser does turn around a bit when the polls, show that Maze is just like really getting closer and neck with Lewis, showing that he has a legitimate chance to win. But of course, Arnott is not sitting. It's not sitting too well with him because he's not supposed to be winning. But Lasser, quickly kind of turned on him when he, is clearly polar opposite to Maze, where he just starts talking about like, I'm what's best for the people. And it's like, politics is not fun when you're not winning. Something like that. And which brings me to my attention how like in recent past couple of elections, people from both sides of the aisle can't stand especially recently with like the Democrats losing to the Republicans, and because as Donald Trump, all these especially as those white liberals freaking out, crying hysterically, and just losing their freaking minds because they lost. And it's the nature of the game. If you voted and overwhelmingly one side wins clearly, then and they play the political game at the best of their ability and came out on top, that's how it is. But instead of moving on with your life, you turn to a sourpuss. And that's why I've seen Arnott right now in this scene where it's like, you're only happy if you're winning. And it's just like, yeah, you can't, sure you can be disappointed, nobody's stopping you from that, but the fact that it's like that's the nature of politics. It's gotta be a winner and a loser. And it's a democracy and everybody gets to cast a vote. And if the majority weighs on one side, that's all she wrote. Come back next time. But yeah, Arnott's not sitting too well with this. Matter of fact, he eventually just turned turncoat quickly and go to Lewis's side. Pretty much kind of take it. I don't know what took him so freaking long to go straight to him, because it was like darn near the last 10 minutes of the film and he's all of a sudden like trying to assist Lewis. It's kind of weird. And why took you this long to do anything about it? But anyway, things take a turn when there was at least in the film, mind you, there was like a gun found in a student's possession, and the country is freaking out right now. So both candidates show up, and of course Mace wants to get a debate with Lewis. Of course, Lewis stonewalls him because he's not like he definitely leads into those cliche politician talking points. He knows he will get trounced in a legitimate debate where he actually got to put put his neck out on the line. But while Mays is trying to speak with the news reporters, but Lewis shows up, everybody's attention turns to him and they kind of run off. And Of course, Lewis denies any type of debate. He goes away, and then all of a sudden, the news is, of course, Albert gets a hold of it and then plastered it all over the news, where Mays didn't realize the cameras were still on him, and while the helicopter was going on and nobody was really paying attention, he was kind of like talking, and of course he was, I forgot what he said. It was pretty much like, pretty much about gun control and everything like that. So he's just kind of speaking his mind about it, but of course, it's not sitting too well with the American people, and so Lasser is chewing him out on the bus, and the fact that she kind of got beside herself and called him an ignorant N-word. And I love May's response. I know you're not calling me an ignorant N-word, and you think you can stay on my bus. I was like, I'm not getting on this bus. We're in the middle of nowhere. And he called security on her, and they took her off without even stopping the freaking bus, because they eventually just came clean that you only was brought on to lose, or I set all this up. You wasn't meant to get this far. And so now he looks like a joke because he did all this, and because he knows this is what the people need. This is what black people need in America to show what could be achieved. And the fact that, especially Lasser being a black woman, just completely, went along with this, he felt hurt. He felt disrespected. So he kicks Geller off because he, knew about this and didn't say nothing. So now he's feeling terrible. He calls Lisa to, because showing how she represents and being a good girlfriend. She explains to him about, when she was a kid, her father takes her to like these racetracks, and the courses got blinders on, so that way they can maintain focus what's straight ahead of them, and they can ignore everything else. That's what Mays has to do. He has to put his blinders on and run his race. Great metaphor. Of course, it's like the whole third act breakup, debacle. But it's handles decently. Geller shows back up to apologize and suggests that he needs a running mate. Things can turn this thing around. So, because he had no running mate for months now, so he decides to get his brother as his running mate, who pretty much like a bail bondsman in Chicago. And of course, obviously, you got to get Bernie Mac because he was from Chicago. So I love this scene as he's coming off the train. It kind of reminds me of the movie Airplane, when that captain starts going around, beating up people. So you got Bernie Mac just pimp slapping, three people who's trying to get in his face about like, hey, trying to sell him some kind of thing. He ain't trying to hear that bull. So he pretty much like, supporting his brothers, like, the man said he's sorry, let it go. See, that's why nobody like your ass. So, miss Bernie Mac, man. So things are, taking a turn for the better. And thanks to his brother going on these campaign trails and getting questioned by all these news reports, and he's just as charming and slick, just like his brother. As somehow, like, there's no such thing as black on black crime. There's no such thing as white collar crime. Crime is crime. I don't care if you wearing a white beater or a tie. You break into my house, I'm gonna whoop your ass. And clearly, like Lassiter is like, enjoying him a bit. She's watching on the news and she's charmed by him. Um, so, and this kind of bugged me a bit, not too much, but we got Maze calling Lassiter and he apologizing to her for kicking her off his bus, but like, no, she's in the wrong. She the one that, call him out his name, completely been disrespectful. So it's like, I don't know. I guess it shows how gracious he is, but like, no, at most, both should apologize, but he's the only one that apologized. That never sit right with me. It's like, you called him out his name, a very derogatory word. And coming from a black woman, that you should have known better. But you got in your feelings, and it's like, no, kick your ass off the freaking bus. Like, no, you can talk slick out your mouth at me like that. What's wrong with you? So he apologized. He tells her he wants to win. So, they come on a strategy to figure out, okay, we got to debate this guy. So what Maze and Mitch do is just completely annoy Lewis to the point where it's like talking about his mom, who just shows up with a large, overly large butt and slaps him in the face. You don't let him talking about me? So he's pretty much pestering him to no end in a very cartoonish way. So it's like, it's just like, I told you we don't stop. I told you we don't stop. I told you we don't stop. So it's just pretty much haunting his dreams. So it's like, fine. He ended up agreeing to one debate. So the debate that will decide it all. So they are in New York, and Maze showing his growth as a character, finally wearing a suit to represent, taking what his lawyer said to him to heart. Which, by the way, I'm surprised his lawyer never showed back up at any point in this film to show any kind of support. Especially when he went through that whole situation with the whole off the cuff remark about the guns in America. He could have used a good lawyer in that to spin it or something. But I guess that's PR people. But you know what I mean. But it's a shame. You got Keith David. But I guess you couldn't afford Keith David for too long. Maybe that's it. But anyway, it shows Maze's growth that he finally like, okay, I need to come and represent. Some jean clothes ain't gonna cut it. So he wears this like FUBU suit outfit, which I don't even know if FUBU actually makes suits. But anyway, so these two starts to do their debate, and it comes down to Maze, who gives his I love this. Another great speech where Lewis calls Maze an amateur, and Maze retorts, "It's like, you're right. I'm an amateur, but there's nothing wrong with being an amateur. Some of the best people in the world were amateurs. Martin Luther King was an amateur. Like he started listening to all these famous people in history who have started something with no real rhyme or reason on how to go about it and achieve something miraculous despite have no experience in the game before. So that he really turned that around on him. But he then talked about, like, you always say God bless America, there's no place else. What about, like, God bless England, God bless Jamaica? Not just Jamaica, the beach of Thai Jai love. I'm talking about stabbing Jamaica. So it's like, God bless America and every place else, all of you. So that really won over the crowd. Even like, the all white crowd on one side, the whole entire auditorium. Everybody, loved his response. And so, of course, he ends up winning. Oh, I love this little part where the whole thing about the whole, driving that guy to work himself. He actually stopped in the middle of his campaign in order to keep his promise. And actually took his campaign bus to pick up a bunch of people with a bus line kind of shut down and drove them to work. And I'm like, you're treating him more like a party bus. It's like at no point you're stopping to, drop them off. It seems like they're just partying on the bus. And it's like, I was like, but I love that moment because it shows that, he haven't forgotten. Most political candidates or just government officials in general, let's stick to the presidential stuff. Most presidents don't, go out, stick their neck out like that, for people, at least in terms of, political candidates and not actual official presidents yet. Because obviously you can't have like a president without his security going out and start driving people around. It's kind of, without casing the place. It's kind of be weird. But anyway, Mays end up winning. He meets up with Lisa Clark. He asks her to be his first lady. And it all ends in this big party, so yeah, that's where the movie ends. But yeah, this is a fun movie, very entertaining. There's a lot of smartly written dialogue and scenes here. Definitely worth a watch, because I haven't seen this, since I was like a teen. It's fun to revisit this. So yeah, highly recommend you guys check this out. Can't believe this was, his first director debut. I completely forgot about that because Chris Rock directed quite a few things, but honestly, I think this movie is probably my favorite of his. Everything else he done has probably been kind of so-so in my opinion. But probably is the second best. I think the movie I Think I Love My Wife, which now I'm thinking about it, should be in my list of films to talk about possibly next year for February. But so making sure I put this down on the list for next year. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Head of State. If you watched it recently or, clearly kind of spoiled it already. For hopefully you guys check it out so you can see the, it's the movie in its entirety. And you can judge for yourself. It's a good time. Highly recommend it. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow for some more FF15 walkthrough. But yeah. Take care and have a great night. Happy Black History Month. Hope you have a happy Valentine's Day for all you couples out there. And I'll see you all soon. Peace.